What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages?
Yes.
First things first, happy 4th of July.
Yes.
Happy Independence Day. Wherever you are out there in this crazy world of ours, whether you're in the continental United States, Alaska, Hawaii, one of the territories, you're overseas, thank you for joining us on this, our Independence Day. We appreciate you. You know, we may even try to broadcast this show a little bit earlier than our normal time. That way, you've got ample opportunity to still enjoy this edition of the Dads, not always on wrestling, before you get too involved with your barbecues, your pool parties, etc., etc. Hopefully, you will be watching the movie that stars our topic person at hand at some point today, the original Independence Day.
Yes.
Still haven't seen the second one, Resurgence. He's not in it, so don't have to worry about that one. You got movies like Yankee Doodle Dandy, which are a tried and true Williams family tradition. Plenty of choices, but I digress. We're not here to talk about 4th of July movies. We are here to talk about Will Smith and his best songs. Jeff, what is going on, man?
It's good to see you, brother. Happy 4th of July. As you said, happy Independence Day. Happy birthday, America. First of all, I want to congratulate you specifically for, again, I said it Saturday night, but wonderful job on the call, calling your first, I would call that the first major pay-per-view. I know you called the Red Creative Hate, but people tend to shit on that show. So, I mean, not your call of this year's show, but just the overuse of
Yeah.
what was once Hell in a Cell. Money in the Bank tends to get a pretty good rep, even though they couldn't sell out the damn stadium. So masterful job on the call, you and Noah. Again, I had the utmost confidence that you would, and you did. So congratulations. I'm looking forward to the craziness. Going to be SummerSlam in a few weeks because everybody's going to be on that call. Lord Almighty. But yeah, it's Independence Day. It's one of those. I find it funny that we just came off your review of the original Aladdin movie from Disney, considering who played the genie in the live action version. Kind of ironic how that worked out in life. But
And we will get to that. Spoiler alert.
Well, so which again, I full disclosure, y'all. If you saw Open Mic Night during for the hell show were we watching last
Forbidden
week?
Door.
My brain. Forbidden Door. God, it's so forbidden. It's right out of my brain. Isn't that awful? Just gone. It just right out. It's filed in the round file once I'm done with that shit. We talked about that. My Will Smith discography knowledge is not so good, but that's why we're doing a collaboration today. But I was telling Jay before we came on the air to do this. I found myself surprised knowing more than I thought I did. And not only that, but realizing that, as I get ready to turn 40, that listening to these tracks now, it's like, okay, that makes sense that this was the backdrop music to this particular song because of the original the original track it was on. Things like that just kind of filter through the brain. As scrambled as eggs as the brain is these days up here in good old JM's head, stuff kind of, it's like, oh yeah, I remember. Muscle memory is a beautiful thing. It really is. Yeah. And I look forward to going over the stuff I didn't think I knew, but I did. And the stuff I truly had no idea what the hell was going on, but still enjoyed nonetheless.
There you go. Will Smith's musical era is divided up into two eras. You've got the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince era.
Yes.
And then you've got the solo Will Smith era, which relaunched with the Men in Black soundtrack.
Yes.
And when Jeff told me that he had a hard time coming up with a list of this, we decided this would be a collaborative effect. I was like, okay, it's not fair to Big Will, who at the end of the day has had like a 35-year music career.
Right?
When you really want to get down to it.
Yeah.
And just break it up into 10 songs.
No.
So I decided, I made the executive decision, being one half of the guys on the marquee today, that we're going to do top 10 DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and top 10 Will Smith.
Yep.
Because again, you've got to figure Will Smith has been part of the forefront of the hip hop commercial movement since 86, 87.
Yeah.
You know, he was right out there with Run DMC when they were breaking down doors with Aerosmith doing Walk This Way.
Yeah.
You know, is like, I'm not saying he was on that track for those people that are possibly getting confused, but he was like right there in that era in those moments.
Yeah.
When Yo MTV Raps first launched on MTV, the first thing we saw was a freestyle from Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff, and Ready Roxy.
I remember that.
Who was part of their crew at their time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like how when MTV launched, the very first thing was Video Killed the Radio Star. When Yo MTV Raps launched, that was the first thing we saw. House Party was written, the Kid and Play film was written with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince in mind.
Right. I forgot about that.
So, and don't get me wrong, Will did the right thing by not picking that movie because it totally helped launch Kid and Play into the stratosphere. And you figure Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was only a year or two behind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, would he have been able to do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air if he was worrying about House Party 2, House Party 3? Probably not.
No.
So it definitely worked out in the long run, but he's had such longevity. We got to give it its due. It's just due.
Without a doubt. I mean, you figure, you know, people point to, like you said, Run DMC and, you know, MC Hammer as we got into the 90s as the hip hop, as the hip hop guys that really put that into the culture of mainstream America. It's like, y'all forget that Jeff and Will were right there with him. It's just we all, and I say we all, mainstream America saw Will more on NBC on whatever night the hell Freshman's on. I forget what night Freshman's on every week, but we saw him more on NBC than we did prior to that, because that was originally designed as, okay, he's got a buzz. Let's give him a chance to get his face out there too, not just his voice. And unfortunately, you know, for a lot of fans, it kind of the music kind of fell in the background until much later, when, like you said, Men in Black came out and Independence Day, and he was allowed to respread those music wings and go, okay, well, movie soundtracks, collaborations are a beautiful thing.
So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start with the Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince era. You can start at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and then we'll work our way up to the solo. So number 10 that I chose for the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince era. And it's only number 10 because it wasn't even a single. It's just an album cut that I love so much. It's sampled Putting on the Ritz. It's called Just One of Those Days, the second track from Rock the House.
Yep.
And this song is, as a lot of these are, but this song in particular is storytelling at Will's finest. As you listen to him just kind of going through the motions of his day and how it's just one of those days, man. Everything goes wrong. He even says a day where Murphy's Law takes over your life and you can't seem to get a darn thing right. You know?
Look at these babies. Look at the babies on their faces.
You know, he talked about how he woke up, you know, everything's kind of cool. He brushed his teeth, went down for the bus, but he missed the bus. And then just everything kind of spirals out of control from there. And it's just, we've all had them, man. Those days where we wake up and, you know, maybe the internet isn't working, or, you know, your car's dead and you need to get a jump. It's just one of those days, and just everything that can and will go wrong does over the course of that day.
It seems to be what
this is for Will.
Seems to be a thing for NBC sitcoms in the 90s. Wake up in the morning, you miss your bus. Never make it on time.
There you go.
But it's all right, because we're Saved by the Bell. Okay.
Damn right.
The original, not that Peacock nonsense.
I'm trying to get Natalie to watch them. You know, she's watched some of the episodes, but I tried to jump ahead to the Malibu Sands season.
Okay. Good.
Because
the original.
thought,
Okay, good. Okay.
I thought when she saw like Leon Carosi, I thought she'd be able to put it together of who that is.
Right, with the voice,
and she was like, I don't get it. I was like, I'm not sure who it is. And I was like, okay, Natalie, he's more known for his voice. Listen to the voice. And Natalie being on the kick that she's been on lately, and I think you'll appreciate this, even though you'll be saddened that she got it wrong.
Oh.
At first she thought it was the Molinator.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
From the Santa Claus, because the voices are similar there. But then I told her,
I have to listen again, but
he was.
Yeah.
And that Leon Carosi from the Malibu Sands Beach Club is Pumbaa from The Lion King.
Ernie Sambella for you sticklers to names out there. Yeah, I never pictured Ernie Sambella having the same voices. And again, the guy that played the Molinator just passed away recently. Now I can't remember his name now. I'm not awful, but I'll have to go back and just close my eyes and listen to Santa Claus 2 and 3 and picture it, because I can't do it right now in my head. But yeah, I encourage definitely watching the old episode of Saved by the Bell. The new one, again, we're off the track here. It is what it is. But I will say, I recommend.
We're off track.
I recommend everybody watch Bel-Air.
Yes,
that shit is good. Anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so that's why I picked that to jump off the list, because
great start.
It's an album track.
It is. It totally is.
Number 9 is an interesting choice, because if we think about the early 2000s, there was a prolific rapper who made the comment about how Will Smith doesn't have to cuss on his raps to sell records.
Well, I do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember very well.
This is the one song that I know of where Will says a naughty word.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, it's not one of the 7 words you can't say on TV.
No.
But damn it, you saw my blinker, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
From the album Home Base. Now, this was a single, but it didn't get the traction that some of the other singles from Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince did. As a matter of fact, I only ever had heard this song the first time when I got the Greatest Hits CD that came out in the mid-90s.
Right.
And it basically had, all their big hits, and then it had Men in Black and Just Cruisin'.
Right.
Because those were like the big he's back kind of songs.
Yeah. I wonder if
we'll get to those in a little bit. But that was the first time I heard it, was putting that Greatest Hits CD on and just letting it run. And it was like, I don't remember this song.
Right.
But it stuck with me. It was really good. And it did stick with me for the wrong reasons, because of him using the term bitch. Yeah. And but it's so eloquently done.
True. Very true.
Essentially, if I'm remembering the song correctly, because it's been a minute since I've listened to it. I know you've listened to it more recently, but like, he either gets cut off or he gets into an accident in his car, and it's like, but you saw my blinker, bitch. Like, why? Yeah, and again, we've all been there as drivers. Maybe not you, because I know you don't drive. But
I've been in accidents where it's the same thing. So yeah,
but we've all been there where it's like we're trying to merge over in the lane or something, and it's like, you see me signaling, let me over.
Yeah,
I'll give you the courtesy wave. I always do, especially going down the Cajon Pass. Oh my God, don't get me started. But
Lord Almighty.
But you see the blinker, acknowledge me, Roman Reigns style, and
Roman Reigns my car. That's right. I wonder if him using that naughty word and it not getting as much traction is what made him go, maybe I don't need to use cuss words to sell records.
Actually, if I remember the story correctly, it was his grandmother that told him that, because she found his lyric book when he was first starting out, and as kids do that are trying to be rebellious,
of course,
a lot of his rhymes had naughty language in it, and she told him, you're better than that.
Right.
And really, he was. I mean, you think about the time he came around, and Run DMC had just put out an album called Raising Hell.
Yeah.
Which didn't really have that much profanity on it. but it had that attitude.
Very violent, yeah.
And then just after that, you had Public Enemy coming out, and you had NWA, and you had that whole movement.
Oh yeah.
And it's very easy to get lost in that shuffle.
Yep.
But Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince managed to stay relevant, and that's part of why we're here saluting Will on Independence Day.
Yep. I again tie it back to Bel-Air. I find it funny now that, you know, when you go back and watch those episodes and they take place in modern times, even though it's basically a retelling of the old Fresh Prince stuff in a dramatic way, you know, having Carlton's white friends using for lack of a better term, y'all, for my ignorance, using black speak and using the N word on a regular with the A on the end. So it's totally okay. It's like, man, here we are nearly, you know, what was it? You said 35 years into Will's existence in the mainstream culture, and they're still having that struggle where they feel like they have to adapt, you know, they have to conform rather than try to change things in a community like that. It's sad.
Yeah.
It really is.
Very much so. Moving on, at number 8 is a song that was a single, but I believe that the artwork I found for it was used for the flip side of something. So, but it was from He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, the song Brand New Funk.
Okay.
You know, this is just another one, like a lot of their songs, it was just this catchy sound, and Jeff particularly, I think, shines on this one.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you've got Will rapping in the rhymes, but Jeff on the turntables really shines on this one with the way that he blends and scratches and mixes the different samples and the I think they call them in the business interpolations, you know, where they'll take like a little line from a song and drop that in, you know, as they're mixing everything.
That sounds right.
But this is really Jeff's moment to shine on the
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's having heard that song that I recall for the first time in process of getting ready for this show. I enjoy it. Like you said, it had a good backdrop to it more than just Will rapping. It was a good mix of both. But yeah, Jazzy Jeff definitely shine a little bit even brighter than Will on this track. It was really cool to listen to today.
I mean, if I'm thinking of this properly, and again, you know, I probably should have re-listened to some of these, but, you know, going to bed after open mic night, you know,
Saturday night was a struggle.
and still trying to recuperate Sunday.
Yes,
but
yes.
He's blending like 3 different things for the chorus part. There's get down, and then there's like a do brand new funk.
Yeah.
Get down, in a brand new funk. It's like he's blending 2, 3, maybe even 4 things for the chorus thing, and so quickly that you don't even notice the transition. That's how good of a DJ Jazzy Jeff was.
I was gonna say, that's how talented that guy was. You know, especially. I mean, I'm sure I haven't been to a concert. I'm sure he still is amazing on there. But you know, yeah, when you're young and got no worries, again, you know, you just start, you know, freaking spinning your stuff around, and it's like, if it breaks, whatever, still sounds good. Hell, God draw money, get him back next week. You know,
for real. You know, and going back to the Bel-Air thing, you know, Jazz really got to shine when he came onto the show.
Yes.
You know, he had always kind of been, you know, we've been talking about the Men in Black. He'd always been the man in the back.
Yes, very much so.
For so long that you really kind of got to see Jeffrey Towns's personality.
Gonna say
when he came on to Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that stemmed from their career. Like they had that charisma already that it just like exuded exponentially the moment he walked on that set the first time.
when you figure that he was the only one that was portrayed as one of Will's friends on the show that made it the entire run of the show, you figure that his friend Ty was around for maybe one full season. I remember him being around for that one season. He was on the music video episode. He was on the game show episode. I don't remember much of him beyond that. You know, everybody else kind of came in and out, and there were some pretty talented people. I mean, Don Cheadle came in. He was the one that played Trey. You know, in that episode, and we never saw him again. Whereas, you know, on the Bel-Air remake, Trey is an integral part of the storyline of that first season. So important in that season. And I mean, Don Cheadle was there. You had freaking Dave Chappelle was a friend of Will's on at one point. Just so many different people that came in, and DJ Jazzy Jeff, Jeffrey Towns, all the way through, right up to the very end. You know, and again, they used stock footage on the door toss. Let's not kid ourselves, because money was a mucker father even back then for budgets. But you know, the fact that, you know, it was an inside joke almost that he wore the same shirt every time he came over the house. It's like, oh, you see that shirt? Out he goes. So it was just a matter of when. But he lasted all throughout because the connection between him and Will off screen doing the music was so powerful that when he first appeared as Jazz on The Fresh Prince, the audience went, ooh, yes, please.
Yeah.
So good. And he's so talented on everything he does, it seems like, that it's so cool that he got a chance to shine on this particular track. And it's only number 8, which is scary.
Which brings me to number 7, which is the first of the ha-ha songs that really ended up on the list here.
Yes.
You know, it came from, I want to say the album dropped in 1989 and was called And In This Corner. And I think I can beat Mike Tyson.
Oh, my goodness.
Let us be real here for a minute. In 1989, could anybody beat Mike Tyson? Number 1. And then number 2, you look at Will during this era.
Yeah.
And he is lanky. He is scrawny. He has not developed into the muscular physique that he would show in Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, Ali.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the irony of this track.
There is no way this 150 at his best pound man is going to go toe-to-toe with Iron Mike Tyson before he was biting ears off of Vander Holyfield.
Right? Yeah, but 89 Mike Tyson was scary.
You listen to the way that his friends and everybody are trying to hype him up. Like, man, you can do this. Like, no. It'd be like Napoleon Dynamite stepping into the ring with Rocky Balboa. No,
Will, that's a dumb Will.
But it's so good, and honestly, it's the only track from that album that really kind of had any notoriety.
Yeah.
I think because it was too rushed.
Yeah.
You know, it was coming right off the success of He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, and they wanted to try to keep that momentum going.
Agreed. Yep.
Because He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper arguably is their best album. There were so many hits off of that are on this countdown.
Yeah.
That it's hard to argue that being the best DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince album.
Very hard to argue, definitely.
I mean, you could argue Home Base, because honestly, that did produce more singles.
Right.
But I don't think, other than the primary one, which we'll come to later, I don't think any of them are as recognizable as the ones off of He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper.
Yeah, there's a difference between producing more singles and producing more hits. Yeah. That's the key. And He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper produced many more hits that were proliferated all throughout the mainstream radio, hip-hop radio, yes, but the mainstream radio culture, as opposed to the other album. It's just, it's heads and tails above it on that front anyway.
Yes. Without counting greatest hits albums, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince put out 5 albums.
Yeah.
We have had so far one track from each of those four of those albums. That's what I'm
Okay.
trying to say. Yeah, four of those five albums, we've had one track.
Okay.
Number 6, we have the last album represented, and it
Oh,
is
cool.
the last album
Oh,
from Code Red, Boom Shake the Room.
okay. Yeah.
This came out at a point, I want to say this was 1993.
Right.
The West Coast hip hop scene was dominating
Oh,
with
yeah.
things like Death Row, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Warren G. You know, profanity in hip hop music was at its peak. Ice
Definitely.
Cube. And although no profanity on the album or on the song, you definitely can hear a far more aggressive tone in Will's voice
Yes.
and far more aggressiveness in the beat that Jeff produced. It's one of those where staying relevant without giving into the trends and being all foul mouthed.
Yep.
And Will and Jeff, respectively, found a way to own up to and hone their style to fit with what was popular without caving to pressures.
I was gonna say you can still stay relevant, and not sell out.
Exactly.
It is a mucker feather of a line to ride, and a lot of people ride it like a show pony. But
Honestly, this is
Will,
one of
yeah.
my favorite songs of theirs because it's so underrated.
Yes, exactly. Having just listened to it again and prep for this show, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I really did. So good.
And that's why I figured throw it there at the middle point.
Right.
It kind of, out of the ones that we've already discussed, it's my favorite. There's no denying that what is to come is better.
Yes.
But out of the half of the list that we've gone through so far, that is my favorite. So I figured that would be a nice little halfway point before we get into the real heavy hitters of the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince discography.
I dig it.
And we're going right into a song that was actually consideration for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. Nightmare on My Street.
This is one of the first ones I recognized. I was like, all right, cool. I know this one.
You should. Yeah. This was on my Halloween playlist songs that we did last year.
I mean, I knew it before I even met you. But yeah, so good. So funny.
But man, the way that Jeff took the theme from Nightmare on Elm Street and sampled it and freshened it up and made it sound even grittier than it already did by adding the little hip hop beats to it.
Yep.
And then the uncredited cameo appearance of one Mr. Robert Englund as Freddy's voice. Just puts this over the top.
That was too cool. Freddy being the first horror guy mildly latched onto, of course, later it became Michael, but and Chucky was around the same time for me as Freddy was. But yeah, hearing that voice on that track, it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Freddy was the first of the modern day slashers that I got familiar with too. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and then I kind of fell off after that until coming into contact with Bruce and being able to see pretty much the entire series.
Yeah, reindoctrinated a little bit.
But this song is just so great. And again, we come back to the storytelling aspect of it.
Yes.
He tells you what's going on in his life as he watches this film, as well as giving you a little Cliff Notes version of what happens in the first film.
Yep.
And he jams it all into about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
And he makes you, with his wording of the situation, he makes you feel what his character is going through. It was burning in my room like an oven, my bed filled with sweat, and man, I was bugging. I checked the clock. It had stopped at 12:30. It had melted. It was so darn hot, and I was thirsty. You can just close your eyes
Yep.
and get engulfed in the lyricism and the vision that he is painting for you.
Yeah, you can very easily see Freddie creating one of those scenes in somebody's dream. You can very easily see that becoming a thing. And I'll tell you what, just a side note, just be glad the first ones you saw were Freddy, Nightmare and Freddy's Revenge. The first one I saw was Freddy's Dead.
There you go.
And I apologize to my 10-year-old self for that every day. Every day.
Okay.
And Child's Play 3 was the first one I saw of Chucky.
I had seen the original, but Child's Play 3 was the first one I saw in theaters.
Oh, no. I saw Freddy's Dead and Child's Play 3 in 93 on videotape after we were at my friend's house watching WrestleMania 9.
Okay, so
that was a bad day.
You were just a glutton for punishment then.
Yeah, that was a bad day. I mean, 10-year-old me was like,
WrestleMania 9 was already, right up there for the top scary movies. And then you factor those two things in.
Yeah, I mean, 10-year-old me is going, Hulk's the champion again. And then I look back, almost 30 years later, I go, that was a shitty day. What a bad day at the office, Tater. Anyway.
Yes, it was just one of those days.
And we're back where we're supposed to be. Very good. Yes. Well done.
Number 4 on my list is
of the first half.
Yes, for the Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince era.
Yes, sir.
Number 4 on my list is a motto that was true before the song came out. It was definitely true in the confines of the song, and man, has it remained it to be true. Me and you always joke about how you go and you watch movies, and it's always when the female enters that the Hakuna Matata gets messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble.
So this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about
using the I Dream of Jeannie sample.
Exactly. It's like if ever there was a girl that was trouble on sitcoms back in the glory days of television, it was freaking Barbara Eden and her lack of outfit messing with poor Major Nelson on the regular. Yeah. Trouble.
This is just one of those really fun ones. Like
so good. So good.
From the moment the beat drops and you hear the I Dream of Jeannie theme.
Yep.
Again, Will's storytelling, his lyrics. I want to say this is the first song that I ever heard that sampled a TV theme in its beat.
It's definitely up there
because I've been a fan of theirs for so long. Before Busta Rhymes and or Timbaland used the Knight Rider beat.
Yes.
Before Craig Mack used the Days of Our Lives beat. Before Cameron, Silk the Shocker, and all of them used the Night Court beat. There was this song with the I Dream of Jeannie beat. And just, man, it's a fun romp. And it's the last time that the Rock the House album appears on the list here, but just you go back in history and you hear about how Rubber Soul and Revolver were supposed to be like a double album.
Oh, okay.
Rock the House and He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper very easily could have been a double album here because they are so chock full of greatness for that era. You figure just on this list alone, we have 5 tracks representing both those albums.
Yeah.
Yep. We've discussed 4 of them so far. Just One of Those Days, Brand New Funk, Nightmare on My Street, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble. We will get to the 5th one here momentarily.
Considering the first half is just their era and half of that is off one of those albums or the other, that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not to say that the later years weren't good.
No.
But when they came out of that door, man, they rocked the house. They
did.
Kicked the door off its hinges and that ball was rolling.
Yes. you mentioned they sampled Knight Rider and Night Court too. Is that as well as Genie, correct?
Not Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, no, but
I'm just saying in general. I wonder what NBC feels about that now, because like those are all NBC shows. I wonder how much intellectual property they had on the music. Because shit, you try to trade it out now, you end up in a freaking YouTube lawsuit or some shit.
Right.
Yeah, especially with those properties. Night Court was what it was. I love Night Court personally, but Knight Rider and Genie were both money for that network.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it's reeling it back then. It's ironic that you bring up NBC properties, because at number 3 it is the theme of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, love it.
You know, I mean, this song, in all of its almost 3-minute glory, you figure we only get about 45 seconds on the TV show.
Yeah.
But in all of its almost 3-minute glory, really jump-started what would become the Will Smith era that we're going to get into, because it was his evolution into acting.
Yep.
He had dabbled briefly in some minor parts and things. You know, I've never seen it, so forgive me, but the first one that comes to my mind is that movie Made in America, Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson.
Yep.
You know, but it wasn't until The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that he kind of, I'm here.
Yes.
As an actor.
Yep.
Which then that, of course, launched into his bit part in 6 Degrees of Separation, where he plays a gay man, which then evolved into Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, etc., etc., etc.
So you're saying that a guy that started out in one completely different genre from where he ended up, one of his breakout roles was a gay man. Yeah. Dwayne Johnson much? Anyway. Right?
Don't think I didn't notice the parallel there.
Yeah, and considering how much, A, we were all seemingly surprised, and B, how close Will got to being the biggest star in the world at everything at the time, and that Dwayne is there now, the parallels just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned this song 3 minutes. Every once in a while when they have a pilot in syndication, or if you go watch it on, I'm pretty sure the whole series is on Peacock at this point. Definitely on HBO, or at least it was. The whole track is actually pretty good, and the story told, the entirety of the story he tells in the process of leaving Philly and coming to Bel-Air is even more comical than the 45 we get, just on the regular episode. It's hysterical, the whole thing. The video's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will storytelling at its finest. It just so happens to be that I feel that the last 2 are even better. I know that there's people that have been sitting here this entire time that were like, where's the Fresh Prince song? Where's the Fresh Prince song?
Of course.
Number 3, baby. And if you've followed Will's DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince career, you know that there are only 2 songs really remaining that could be 1 or 2.
Yes.
Question is, where do they fall? Number 2 is, again, it's a statement that was true before the song, and it's remained true since the song.
Oh
However, ever since becoming the topic myself,
yes,
it puts things in a new perspective.
Agreed.
And of course, I am talking about parents just don't understand.
And we don't.
No. It's not that we don't.
Oh, I don't.
It's that it is in our nature to be protective. It's not that we don't get that you want to go out, that you want to have fun with your friends, that you want to cut loose and be wild and crazy. Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin, you want to be wild and crazy guys.
Yes, very good.
We know the repercussions of doing it because we've already been there and done that.
Indeed.
We do get it. We just don't want you to make the same mistakes we did.
Yes. On that
Parents
front,
Just Don't
true.
Understand was the very first Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince song I ever heard.
Yep.
It is the very first Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince song. It is the very first rap song, period, that I had memorized.
Wow.
My dad was so impressed by me having the song memorized at that age that he told me to perform it for my uncle.
Wow. That is impressive for that age.
I've said numerous times when I got my first boombox, LL Cool J radio, the Fat Boys Crushin', which had their version of Wipeout with the Beach Boys.
Yes.
And he's the DJ, I'm the rapper, primarily for this song.
Wow.
This tape was so popular back in the days, that when I would go to like the YMCA summer camp, I had my name written on the side of the tape so people wouldn't try to steal it. People still tried to steal it, wash the name Williams off, and pass it off as their own. That's how popular Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince was back in 88, 89, people.
What is this? What is this tape thing you speak of?
Yeah, I know.
What is this?
This is before those little frisbees that we call CDs, which are obsolete now.
What is the CD you speak of?
The CD is a smaller version of a vinyl record.
Files are more popular now than they were. Yeah, I was going to say. Files are back in now more than they were. I'll give you that one. But yeah, for all you youngins, cassette tapes that you put into what used to look like an 8-track player.
Right?
What's an 8-track? Never mind. We're going down a rabbit hole. We'll come back. Yeah. Seriously. This whole album, as a cassette or not, was so popular that even me, in my, sorry in advance, brother, 4 or 5-year-old little sheltered existence, even I knew about this shit. So, and like I said, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiering not too long after that, and hearing at least the snippet of the theme song from that show, that was the first, for the record, that was the first rap song I ever heard that I had the words down, including the full track, not just the TV version. Right. So once again, Will Smith bringing freaking Wonder Bread here into the consciousness of understanding, at least some sort of hip hop.
Yeah. And it's another one where just the storytelling is impeccable.
It is so good. So well done. But if that's number 2,
there can only be
number one.
Yes. And of course, it's Summertime.
Man, that was, again, having not heard this in so long before recording this today, I forgot how good this song is, for real.
Right? I mean, it's just one of those songs that when you close your eyes and you envision summer, kids like us growing up in California, we had the Beach Boys, we had Jan and Dean, we had all that surf rock. But I would say for the other 49 states, right, this is what they think of.
That's why it's downloaded on my phone. I'm like, why is it? Would you say like, why is this? Oh, because his summer playlist. I forgot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's another one, man. You just close your eyes and you just get that vision of the summer.
Yep.
Break to your crib, change your clothes once more because you're invited to a barbecue that's starting at 4. Sitting with your friends as you all reminisce about the days growing up and the first woman you kissed.
Seriously, how many
wonder how the smell from the grill can spark up nostalgia.
Yep. Seriously, how many summer songs are about kicking back on a non in-home location about the first girl you kissed? Like everyone at this point, freaking as it should be, right? Because you're not getting the kind of action sitting there in school for 6 hours a day. It's not going to happen, So got me in the summertime when you break away. Shoot, even going back, in the history of movies, the whole prologue to Grease, summer at the beach.
Yeah.
Kid Rocks, all summer long. Just all that stuff.
Yeah. It's arguably it's DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince at their best.
Very hard to argue with it.
Like, I really went back and forth between Parents and Summertime
Definitely.
because of the nostalgia feeling for me with Parents Just Don't Understand and how relevant that's been to my existence in my life, with that being one of the first tapes I ever owned.
Yeah.
For that song and that reason. But
exactly.
I think as far as overall, Summertime is the song. Like, if I were going to try to get somebody to listen to, first of all, to rap music in general, you've got to go with something that's going to come off as being non-threatening.
Right.
You can't hit them with, Ice Cube or Eminem or 50 Cent or anything like that. It's much like exposing people to horror movies.
Yeah.
You got to ease them into it.
Yeah.
You start with the Universal monsters and you make your way to the Freddys, the Jasons.
Yes.
You start with the old school, the non-threatening, the stuff that's just about having fun with your buddies.
Yep.
And these are the two songs I would probably pick from Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince to try to help get people into it, because it's things everyone can relate to.
Yep.
Even
Agreed.
at 45 years old, I can still relate to Parents Just Don't Understand.
On levels now.
Because I remember when I was a kid and I thought they didn't understand. Yep. And now as an adult, as a father of a 13-year-old girl,
I was going to say,
I realized that my dad did understand. He was just trying to look out for his son. He was trying to look out for his baby boy, just as I now try to look out for my baby girl, just as you try to look out for your baby boy.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't get it. We get it too well.
Yeah. Jay, I had a conversation last night. My dear friend of mine, Shell from elementary school, asked how Dylan was, or how everything was going. I said, Dylan's 14. You remember me at 14? She LOL. I'm like, shut up. It's like, yeah. Combine that with Jade's fast as her personality. He's crazy, but we love him because he's our son. Just, yeah, we do understand, and I wish they understood that we understood.
Yeah,
but they're teens. They're not gonna get it.
No, they're not,
because they just want to do their thing. They want to go out and have fun, not necessarily be rebellious on purpose. They just want to go out and have fun. They don't understand why this particular version of fun is going to be dangerous, counterproductive, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, I sit back and I go, see me at 4. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm sure same with you, especially, and again, I will forever commend both y'all for being the parents of a female teenager, because that's a whole other box of candy. Oofa.
It's that double-edged sword, going back, we're talking about Parents Just Don't Understand, but it's that double-edged sword going back and talking about like Summertime.
Yeah.
Think about like Summertime Blues.
Yes.
You got to work if you want to use the truck, but then you call out to work, tell the boss you're sick. Now you can't use the car because you didn't work a lick.
Yeah.
You gotta understand the pros and the cons of all your decisions.
Yes. Boy, I'm gonna play this on playback when he comes back home. It's like, listen to Uncle Jay. Listen to Alan Jackson. He knows. They understand. Parents do understand. The song is not true.
So
but
that
Summertime's definitely, yeah.
That brings us to the end of our top 10 DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince songs.
Turned out about right. That's pretty good.
So before I jump into the Will Smith era, I do have one honorable mention, and I figure it's a perfect transition because of the way that he comes onto the song.
Yes.
It's only an honorable mention because it's not his track.
Yes.
He is guest featured on this track, but it's someone that he knows very well, again, as he mentions in his song. It is Tatiana Ali's Boy, You Knock Me Out. You know, and he
Jeez.
comes right onto the song. Here it is, a groove, slightly transformed again, coming basically right out with the Summertime lyrics,
Yep.
you know, but with the Tatiana Ali spin. You know, I've known her since she was a 10 as Fresh Prince from back then.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at her in this image and you think about first season Ashley Banks, and it's
Yeah.
like
Uh.
she she didn't have the career that she should have because she
No.
was engulfed in an R&B land that was dominated by Brandy, Monica, Whitney,
Yep.
Mariah, Faith, etc., etc.
Yep.
She did have a couple of hits, this being actually the less popular of her two hits,
Yeah.
but you had to have it on the list here as an honorable mention because it's her and Will together. Like
Yeah.
you could see in the later years of Fresh Prince, the senior side of her start to emerge. And I honestly think that if they had dropped an album right when that had ended, it might have been better for her career because it was fresh in people's minds.
I still maintain that dropping an album after that episode where Will tries to manage her music career and it goes sideways because it's a sitcom, it has to go sideways, would have been money.
Yeah,
For real.
it would have. It's a Hollywood miss, if you will.
Yep.
But it's such a great song. You know, you figure Boy You Knock Me Out is a classic anyway, so it's her spin on that track.
Right.
Then you figure, you know, that she's got cousin Will drop in a very short verse. I don't even think he does 16 bars, which is usually a verse.
Right.
I think he only does like 8.
Sounds right.
Like half a verse, but just
Yeah.
enough to make his presence known like, hey, this family,
I'm still watching you.
treat
Yeah.
her good.
Yeah. And of course, you know, in the video, because it's cousin Will, he has to have the freaking Philly stuff on because you know,
You do what you do. He is from Philly.
gotta connect, right? But yeah, but you know, just Will trying, you know, it seemed like, you know, yes, he would still, you know, always claim the Philly roots, but you know, most of his stuff was not about having the roots in Philly, but because it was, you know, trying to be old school Will, because it was trying to connect to Tatiana, which connects to Freshness, which connects to Philly. Great wardrobe selection there. It's like, all right, Philly's hat on. Here we go. Red jacket, because that's what we do, and off we go. So again, the little things, kids, but it works.
Yeah. Which brings us into the solo Will Smith era.
All right.
And Will dropped 4 albums as a solo artist.
Really? Only 4?
Only 4. Every album is represented by at least one song.
Okay.
There's one album that is very heavily featured because
True.
it is arguably his greatest hits as a solo, and that's right here above me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
yeah. We'll get to those as we roll through this, but number 10 for the Will Smith era was featured on his Born to Reign album, as well as being the title track to the sequel of Men in Black. Nod your head, the black suit's coming.
Yep.
Introducing Trey Knox.
Jeez.
And Trey Knox never really blew up like he probably should have either, but
no,
you know, it was a hell of a coming out party, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say so. Being on the title track of a sequel that, you know, yeah, probably could have done a lot better. Let's not kid ourselves. It didn't do near as good as the first one, but you know, still,
it wasn't as good as the first one, but it still was damn good.
No. I don't mean the story. I mean performance wise at the box office.
Yeah,
it should have done a lot better because the story actually is a lot better than people give it credit for.
I think it's one of those franchises where people didn't really think we needed a sequel. So maybe they weren't so receptive to part 2 right away.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
You know, unlike franchises like Terminator 2, where we didn't really need a sequel, but oh my God, you couldn't turn away from that.
It worked out.
This is one of those things where, like, we really didn't need a sequel to Men in Black. And
No.
yet it turned into a trilogy.
Well, yeah, plus the one with Hemsworth later. I honestly, and again, we're going off into the sidetrack here, but I think if they'd done the story in 3 and combined it with the story in 2, as far as, you know, Jay getting his memory back and then, you know, having to go back in time to save him in the first place, I think there are elements of both 2 and 3 that could have been made one really good movie. I think they were both too overdone.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the song from 2 is
it's
fucking
catchy.
awesome.
It's catchy, but it just didn't have the staying power as the original Men in Black theme either.
No, well, definitely not. That thing's so catchy. We'll get there.
Yeah. Let's not give things away. We'll get there. Speaking of the original Men in Black, number 9 is the other track that Will did for the original Men in Black. Just Cruisin'.
Yes.
The forgotten gem from this album by Will, because everybody remembers Men in Black, but people forget that he had a second song on there, Just Cruisin', and it did have a video. It was a single.
Yep.
It was a nice, what the song says, it was a nice cruising tune.
Yeah, just
pop it in your stereo, you know. Back when we still had, you know, CD players in the car, pop the CD in your car changer, just lean back and cruise the streets, you know. Going back to summertime, you know, 2 miles an hour, so everybody sees you while you're bumping this song, you know, just a great cruise the boulevard at night type of track.
Just don't hit the red button when you're cruising.
No, absolutely not. Don't do that.
Lisa screaming.
Yeah. And running.
And well. He's in the previous movie with Will. Anyway, if you know, you know.
But I digress.
Coming soon to Pros and Tees. Anyway. Jesus. Oh my God.
Number 8 is the only track off of his final solo album, Lost and Found. And that is Switch.
Okay.
Lost and Found definitely was lackluster in its delivery.
Yeah.
But you can't deny this track. This track just hits on every level. It is one of those perfect party songs. The beat just makes you want to clap your hands along, tap your toes, get up, you know, try to dance if you're not really a dancer like me. You know, do the big guy in the club bop type of thing. You know, the Pete Hawk dance, for those of you that understand the reference.
And if you don't, it's okay. It's perfectly okay.
But I mean, Switch is just one of those really catchy Will Smith songs. Whereas a lot of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were storytelling.
Yes.
Will Smith as a solo was more about just going out and having a good time and having a party.
Yep.
And this song, you know, off of its album, again, for better for worse, as far as the album as a whole, this song kind of personified that.
I agree.
Speaking of a song that personifies that vibe, first official appearance from right up here. Welcome to Miami.
Yes.
You know, overall, is it one of the greatest Will Smith songs ever? No, but that's why it's number 7.
Right.
You know, but it is a catchy club banger of a song.
Agreed.
You know, you can still put that on at a, we'll say a family party, because I don't know if it's the type of song that you'd hear drop in a club these days, except for maybe in Miami.
Right, exactly.
But you know, family barbecue. It's the type of song that you could still drop into the party there and people would have fun with it, because even if that's not their type of music, people can just have fun with that type of atmosphere.
I
and
was
the
going to say,
personality within the song.
you mentioned, that Will, in the Jazzy Jeff era, and even was he got this, still stayed within the confines of staying relevant and not having to, swear every other word. Will, at least that I remember, Will's music, this song, is a great example. You could play it at any club back then. You could play it at anybody's party. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, purple with polka dots, whatever. You could enjoy the music because it had a good beat and the lyrics were just enough where it's like, okay, I can get with this. Like I said, I'm the worst answer this side of Wonder Bread, but it's still got a catchy enough lyrics and definitely catchy enough music where you can really get into it and not really have to extend your comfort bubble out at all, really.
Exactly. And that's what makes his stuff so great. It's like,
Yep.
We talked earlier about, and this just kind of came to my head as you were talking about this. We touched on earlier, and you just touched on now, about how in his music he never had to cuss.
Yep.
You think about his movies, a lot of his movies he does use profanity, but he's not being Will Smith. He's portraying a different character.
Yes.
On Wax, he is portraying himself.
Yes.
Whether it's the Jazzy Jeff days with more of his coming of age storytelling, or his more adult years, as I touched on, with more of the fun party. Hey, I'm back on Wax wrecking the mic again. Let's just have some fun. Like we did with Parents Just Don't Understand. Like we did with Summertime. Like we did with Girls Ain't None But Trouble. Let's have that fun again.
Yep.
That's Will's career in a nutshell to me.
It really is, and it's I find that so fascinating when you think about his two major breakout movie roles, both very I don't want to say stubborn, but definitely the word I'm trying to think of, anyway, not stubborn, but somewhere in there, very much set in their ways, career guys. But, they get angry. I mean, when you're punching an alien in the face, you're just a little bit angry. When you're chasing another one through the streets of New York and he gets away, you're gonna be a little bit pissy about it. But he didn't swear about it. At least not vulgarly so. It's like, me, if I'm chasing something down like that on the streets of New York and they get away from me, I'm gonna be mucker-fubbing, not that word, I'll be all over the place.
Yeah.
You didn't have to.
And
if I'm an alien,
that smell.
Yeah. If I had an alien chase me down and then he wrecked my ship and I wrecked his, I'm doing more than punch him in his stupid face and complaining about his smell. I'm gonna be cussing the whole way walking through that desert. And again, he is exasperated. He is expressing the anger out loud and yelling, but he's not swearing.
Yeah.
Which is commendable. Considering what the hell he just went through.
Most definitely.
I'd be thrown in YouTube jail for life if they got clips of me doing that.
Right.
But yes, that smell is bad. Knock that shit off back there. Damn.
Number 6.
Yes.
We're gonna, since we're briefly discussing his movies, we're gonna stick with his movies for the next couple of entries.
Sounds good.
Number 6, the movie itself very much underperformed. But the title track from said film was off the chain. Wild Wild West.
Which is such a shame that the movie underperformed. God. Oh.
It was just so badly written.
It really was.
It just was. And if you listen to Kevin Smith during his An Evening with Kevin Smith DVD, which is out there, you can purchase it, stream it, whatever.
Yes.
He talks about the failed Superman movie that he was writing.
Yes.
And how the director, who coincidentally went on to do Wild Wild West.
Yes.
the Superman was going to be at the Fortress of Solitude, and he wanted this like invasion to happen at the Fortress of Solitude, or whatever. And it's like,
Ooh.
it's the Fortress of Solitude. So the director came at Kevin and was like, "What about a gigantic spider? What's the final act of Wild Wild West?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
A gigantic, robotic spider." He
That
still
guy was
found a
determined.
way to get that spider into film. And what did it cost us? Because at the end of the day, Will Smith, Kevin Kline, and Salma Hayek in very tight wardrobe should have been money.
Yep.
But alas, it was just a horribly written, horribly told story that thankfully had a soundtrack to make up for it.
Now, I don't know the numbers, so forgive me for not being stat boy. I don't remember the album doing very well at stores either.
It did better than the movie did.
Right, but that's a low bar to hit. I'm say.
Basically, if the album had failed as badly as the movie did,
yeah,
then nobody would talk about it.
No,
it would be Bruno status. No
yes.
one would talk about it. Granted, Renegade's Rules number 4, we do talk about Bruno.
Yes,
but I think that's part of why Wild Wild West ended up creeping onto Millennium.
Yes,
so that it would not be forgotten.
Because it is a damn good song.
And on the album version, the Millennium version, there's a very cute exchange of banter back and forth between Jaden, who was still young at the time, and Will,
Yeah.
Asking him, kind of like, what song do you want to hear Daddy do? And he's like, Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West. And Will's like, you don't want me to do this one or this one or this one? Naming off some of the tracks on the album. He's like, Wild Wild West. And Will just kind of like, gives that, all right, kid. And then it goes into Wild Wild West. It's a cute little intro. And, Jaden has his own bag of worms. We're going to leave him where he lie right now. But back in them younger days,
yes,
it was very cute to hear that father-son banter.
Yes. I find it funny. That song is so good and so popular even now. When my dad was watching reruns of the Wild Wild West on whatever the hell channel the Western shows are on these days, I walk into the room not knowing what he's watching. And what do you got on? The Wild Wild West. I'm like, oh, okay. To this day, Jay.
What's sad is I could see Frank Meacham doing that, except he's got to have his arms crossed, like he always does over in whatever section you guys are usually in.
Actually, when he's watching TV at home, he's very much on the Barca lounger like this. But yeah,
he's got to have his arms crossed and then look at you and be like, the Wild Wild West.
Well, up until last weekend, we were doing that during the hockey games anyway. Luckily, freaking Corey Perry lost again, so it's okay now. Everything's all right with the world again.
That's right. Jack
again, congrats on the
Stanley Cup, and Corey Perry lost. So
that's right. That's right.
And I know we've said it a couple times since it happened, but congratulations to Jack.
Oh, so happy for Jack. And again, we went to it crazy during the Cena show last week, but yeah, go right on, Jack. We love you, brother.
Reeling it back in, we're halfway through the solo Will Smith career.
Yes.
And honestly, you want to talk about another movie of his that kind of gets some crap.
Yeah.
For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But his performance of Friend Like Me,
so good,
from Aladdin, is damn good.
Yeah, it is.
And we talk about it all the time. Me, you, CC, my circle of friends, the extended Meacham multiverse, as it will.
Yes.
Was Will Smith Robin Williams?
Of course not.
Was Will Smith trying to be Robin Williams? No.
He done said that.
But Will brought enough charisma and personality to the genie that I still feel to this day. And granted, the animated character of the genie was written with Robin in mind. No other person that could play him but Robin.
You mentioned it earlier,
But
so you know.
but I still hold true to the belief that if Will's movie career had been what it is today, not counting the Chris Rock incident, at the time that Aladdin came out in 92, he very easily could have been that genie if Robin had said no.
Yep.
Because he has the entertainment factor, he's got the personality, he's got the charisma. And we got to figure Jim Carrey was about 2 years away from making himself a household name. So he wouldn't have even been a thought on the radar at that point.
The new Robin Williams,
Yeah.
Yep.
But Will Smith as the genie was epic. And the Aladdin live action movie as a whole was so damn good.
So good.
I know we'll get into that at the end of the year when we do our Disney song list.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But people need to get off the Will hate of him stepping into the role as genie.
Yeah.
I'm sure if Robin hadn't passed away 5 years before the movie came into existence, he would have come back.
I'm sure.
You figure they had James Earl Jones come back to be Mufasa in The Lion King. Yep. I'm sure they would have brought Robin back to be the genie. Because considering Genie was more or less computer anyways, they could have definitely de-aged him.
Yep.
But alas, we lost Robin in August of 2014.
Yeah.
Will Smith was a great choice for this role, and Friend Like Me was solid.
Yep.
I did go back and forth, and I guess you could give an unofficial honorary shout out to his performance of Prince Ali also.
Also very underrated. Yep.
But I felt Friend Like Me was the song that had to be represented in the perfect way to kick off the second half of his solo list.
When you figure it, and again, thank you for the Spotify playlist that you made for me so I know what we're getting into today. When you factor in that the entirety of the 1992 soundtrack is on Spotify, except for the Robin songs, you kind of got to go with what you got to go with when it comes to listening to Aladdin songs. And again, I'm sure that stems from the whole lawsuit that Robin enacted over the marketing of Aladdin back in the day. But both his tracks, Prince Ali, which we mentioned as an honorable mention, and Friend Like Me, are underrated and underappreciated, as you said, for all the wrong reasons. Friend Like Me is so good, and whenever I watch live action movie, I harken back to the days of the Hyperion and watching those different guys come out as the genie and making that role their own in spite of the ungodly legacy they had lived up to each and every time they step on that stage throughout the day.
It's funny that you bring up the Hyperion, and I don't want to bring a downer to this, but a couple weeks ago, I want to say it was in the Mouse for Life group that I'm in, somebody posted that one of the guys that played Aladdin on that show had passed away.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And I looked at the picture, and it's one of the ones we would see on a really frequent basis.
That's a shame.
So it was like he was our Aladdin.
Right. Yep.
You know, very much in the same vein that Scott Weiner, good old Steve from Full House, was our Aladdin growing up.
Oh, very much so.
It was one of the ones that we would see on a regular basis going in there because we would go to the Hyperion almost every time we were there.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was almost the same vein as going to Mickey's house or going to Muppet Vision.
Every time. Absolutely. And
if not every time, then damn near every time.
And when you think about the fact that whatever they're going to do in Tomorrowland before next year, at least two of those three things are now, just a shame. But again, every single time that show played at the Hyperion, everybody on that stage had to live up to a Disney legacy, let alone a legacy that is so beloved. It's a no-win scenario. It's freaking Kobayashi Maru and Star Trek. There's nothing you can do to make it better, so you have to be creative. You have to be different than within the confines of what you're able to do. And if they're going to do a, not shot for shot, but if they're going to tell the same basic story structure, there's only so much you can do as a performer on stage, as a performer in a live action movie remake of a classic timeless Disney tale, to make it your own without completely changing the dynamic.
Yeah.
One person in that whole movie got their own solo moment that was not in the animated, and that was Jasmine.
And she needed it.
And when you think about, they give her that moment on the stage show, Gilded Cage, like for real. Jasmine needed that moment in the live action, and it was so integral to the story. But Will Smith as the genie doing Friend Like Me on our countdown is a must if we're going to talk about his solo career and how his movie career allowed his solo career to shine even brighter. Friend Like Me, again, hated for all the wrong reasons, but so damn good.
Agreed. Number 4, we're going to take it to one of the songs that helped us ring in the new millennium. Willennium.
Millennium, yes.
Will 2K.
Oh, yes. This one I knew before we started. So.
You should have, because it was everywhere at the turn of
Oh, my God.
It was like people were dusting off Prince's 1999, and then there was this.
Right.
Like going into the year 2000, those were the two songs that were everywhere.
They were playing the Prince song. Yeah.
As a result, it is going to live on forever. Forever. And if you don't get that by now, good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But Will 2K is another one of those, man. It's like between the Rock the Casbah sample and just that party vibe.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's so cheesy.
Oh my God.
But it's what makes it so good, because it's Will.
Yeah.
If anybody else tried doing that song, it would tank.
Instantly.
Like it would be so bad. It would be darn near Geely status.
Oh, damn. We're just being mean now.
But the fact that it's Will made it catchy, made it fun, made it tolerable.
Yeah.
And again, going back to Will's career in a nutshell, this entire era of his career was about having fun.
Yep.
And that's what Will 2K was. It was fun.
It's crazy how much they've both permeated the culture even now, and they're both still relevant for the reasons of the lyrics and the music. It's and again, sampling Rock the Casbah is just hysterical. It's a fun song, like you said. Great stuff.
You know, it's perfect because it fits into the Will Smith vibe. You figure Rock the Casbah came out in the early 80s.
Yep.
Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince made their name in the late 80s.
Yep.
So it's got that kinetic energy to it.
Which is so important in music, as you know.
Yeah.
So.
Number 3, we're going to slow things down. We're going to get a little bit more serious. It's the most dramatic song on either list. Although, if you were to watch Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me, definitely not dramatic there.
No.
But just the two of us.
Oh, man.
Will's song for Jaden.
Yep.
Will's song for his little boy. You know, I mean, as parents now ourselves, the impact and the importance of this song just cannot be understated.
Definitely not.
It was definitely overplayed and kind of beat to death when it came out.
Oh my God.
But we weren't at that stage yet in our lives.
True.
We now can go back and revisit a song like this and be like, man, this dude stopped the party to give love to his kid.
Yep.
That's commendable.
Exactly.
That's commendable.
Yep. You mentioned Spy Who Shagged Me. Up until 2008, that'd be the first thing I think of when I hear this song. Not so much now, obviously, because, you know, we're both parents now, but yeah, before that, like, just the muscle memory and the scene, it's like, no, because it's like, no, Vern, that's a bad Vern. Just you know, go. Yeah, no.
Austin Powers and Mike Myers has a tendency to take the song and turn it into something completely memorable for other reasons. I mean, when we get to Goldmember, there's their version of Hard Knock Life as well.
But I actually like that one more than this. I'm not gonna lie. Just because it's so completely absurd, and you've got both Mike and Vern kind of, you know, freestyle, and it's like, it's so bad it's good. This
but
one,
the fact that Mike, as Dr. Evil, tries to pass off like he wrote this song, though.
True, very true.
And you know, we're talking about the ha-ha version, but even in the lyrics of that, they get the story wrong, because from the moment I heard Frau say I had a clone, it was number 2 that told you that they took the necessary measures,
right?
Not Frau.
No, all I heard Frau say was "Sitting in clone." That's all we heard.
Yes.
Yeah,
but moving it back into the Will Smith version.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
again.
Yes.
I mentioned during the Wild Wild West part about Jaden and back then and how it was so cute. It's like you just, it tugs at the heartstrings.
It does.
And
Absolutely.
going back to those early interactions with them, both in film and things like The Pursuit of Happiness, and on Wax with this and that intro to Wild Wild West, it always makes me go back and think about this little excerpt that was released on one of the John Lennon anthologies. And it's him and Sean when Sean is very, very young. And Sean is like singing with a little help from my friends.
Oh.
And asking John, you know, was that your song? And, you know, John's trying to explain to him how him and Paul wrote it, but Ringo sang it.
Right.
You know, so yes, I created it. It's one of my songs, but when you hear it, that's not Daddy. That's not one of his songs.
Right.
So it always takes me back to that, and just those little moments that are so cute and just end up being captured.
Yeah.
You know, a little time capsule, if you will.
Especially with what happened to John. I mean, it's cool to hear stuff like that now.
Number 2.
Speaking of number 2,
is on this album.
Yes.
Much like the song that we just talked about was.
Yes.
But it's also the title track.
Yes. Yes.
You know, this is another one of those things. It comes down to 2. If you're paying attention, you should know that this hadn't come up with, and there's one left.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you go back and forth between Men in Black and What's to Come? Like,
right.
This was Will's "I'm back, bitches"
right
moment.
Yeah. This song was
arguably, so and arguably because of that, maybe it should be number 1.
Yeah.
But when we get to number 1, I'll explain why it edged it out.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
You were about to say regarding Men in Black.
I was saying, this song was so popular, I knew the lyrics and the entire dance of that last verse.
Dance, Jeff, dance. Dance, Jeff, dance. Dance, Jeff, dance.
We're getting a little too inside baseball, but I'm sitting here without the benefit of arable bottom wear. I am clothed, for the record, but it's too damn hot to not be sitting here in my shorts. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
It's hotter. It's 4th of July. It's hot as balls, and I don't need to be showing mine on the air. I'm good. We're good. Thanks.
Fair. We don't want to see that.
No demonetization instantly. Because it's. But yes, I mean, literally, just bounce. I knew the whole thing so much so that because we was still at the Forum back then, I graduated from doing the Pee Wee Herman dance on the ledge to doing the Men in Black thing on the ledge. Even at 14 and ungodly uncoordinated, I did it once, and that was all I needed to do. Sit down.
The only downside with Men in Black,
yes,
was the fact that why couldn't we have gotten something for Bad Boys? Why couldn't we have gotten something from Independence Day? Like, if you were having this Jones, this itch to come back, the way you did, why couldn't we have had something there? Don't get me wrong, Bad Boys had a phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh, it did, very much so.
But a Will Smith track would have just made it that much better. Same with Independence Day. Could you imagine the traction that song would get every freaking year if he had an Independence Day 4th of July song for that soundtrack? Every year it would get played.
Part of me wants, and again, I never met Will, and I don't want to pretend to know his psyche because clearly we were mildly wrong going into the Oscars this year.
Fair.
Part of me wants to believe that he wanted to do those big, giant movies and not feel the need to also fall back on the music stuff. However,
because I remember similar to that when Vanessa Williams did Eraser.
Yep.
She signed on to do it under the agreement that she wouldn't be involved in the soundtrack.
Right.
But then the producers were having such a hard time coming up with someone to do the title song.
Right.
She volunteered to do it.
And that's the thing. She volunteered. She wasn't asked. She wasn't coerced. She's like, all right, y'all struggling. I got you. With Will, as great as his roles in Bad Boys Independence Day were, I don't think they were of the nature of, I guess, haha enough where the character could be in a music video as well. So with Men in Black, it's so cheese-tastic, especially the title track. The title track is one big giant piece of big freaking Green Bay hunk of cheese. Let's not kid ourselves. But I mean, the fact that the GIF you see on Messenger is not from the movie where he's neuralizing. It's the end of the video where he walks up, puts the glasses on. That's from the end of the video. Yeah. So that role and that movie lends more toward, okay, we can add a track to this and it can be fun. Although, again, Just Cruisin's not necessarily a fun beat track, but it's still a cruising song. And you can totally see Agent J, cruising down the street. Don't hit the red button, Jay, doing his thing. Whereas Independence Day was so bing, 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 things go moving 100 miles an hour. I mean, freaking aliens are taking over the world. We got to get moving in a hurry. There's no real time for levity. I mean, granted, he had some funny moments, but there's no real time for enough of a levity moment to have a track, if that makes any sense. Same with Bad Boys.
I mean, him and Harry Connick Jr. had enough of a rapport during the movie that there was a similar dynamic to him and Tommy Lee Jones, if not even a little bit more lighthearted.
True. Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones don't take no mess. Just ask him about his time with Jim Carrey.
Well, yeah, and again, it's I guess just I like what I said a few minutes ago. I think Will just wanted to see if he could without having to feel like he had to fall back on it. But I guess Men in Black kind of, well, let's do this one. Why not?
Yeah, it's fair.
Just round this up the top of my head as I go here. I don't know.
Which brings us to number one.
Yes, number one.
And if it wasn't Men in Black, but it is from this album, as number 3 and number 2 also appeared on.
There you go.
That just goes to show the strength of this album.
Yes.
There can only be one. It is the song in which one of the words entered the dictionary.
Yes.
As we proceed to get jiggy with it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's like it's another one of those, much like Will 2K, where if anybody else had tried this,
yes,
it would have been dead on arrival.
Laughed out of the studio.
It would have been the horse head in the bed in The Godfather. It would have been.
Oh yeah.
Dead.
Oh yeah.
But because it was Will.
Yep.
Because he had already hit that home run with Men in Black.
Yep.
We were allowed to continue having fun.
Yeah.
And we learned what it meant to get jiggy with it.
Yeah, only Will Smith 97 can actually say the phrase "get jiggy with it," and nobody will be like, "Oh, okay, that makes no goddamn sense."
Right?
Yeah. Seriously, freaking, if Harry Connick Jr. walked out there and sang "get jiggy with it," like, what? Go! What? But because Will Smith, seriously, buy the whole album, absolutely. Anybody else is out there like, what the shit?
Puffy and Mace couldn't have done that and pulled it off.
No way.
And they were the kings of good time party songs, shiny suits. You know, you think about stuff like Mace's Feel So Good, which sampled Hollywood Swingin'. You think about Mo Money, Mo Problems. You think about that type of stuff, and man, they were the kings of that.
Yeah.
But if they had tried getting jiggy with it, they would have been laughed out of New York and Harlem.
Easily. And that's the other thing, too.
But Big Will.
Yeah.
It was all right for Big Will to do it.
Yeah.
And it goes back to Men in Black. I think people had missed Will so much, they were willing to give it a pass.
Right.
You know, you're back doing music. I remember you from Parents Just Don't Understand. I remember you from Summertime. I remember you from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, from Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble, from I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson. You're back. I'm all about this, dude. Shut up and take my money for this album.
Seriously, Getting Jiggy With It is an absurd as title as the idea he could beat up Mike Tyson, which makes it work.
You figure that album alone has got 4 out of 10 songs.
Yeah.
That's counting Men in Black, which granted was originally on the soundtrack like the image showed. But that was on this album too.
Yep.
4 out of 10 songs from this one album.
When you figure that this half of the list has primarily from not primarily because it's not a majority because it's not half, but you know, the biggest chunk is from this one album, much like the first half was from mostly or a good chunk from one album.
Right Under You.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say it's over. Yeah, it just goes to show that when an album hits and resonates with the audience enough, it's almost like, you know, not they can't do any wrong, but everything came together during that session, during that recording. It's like these are
magic. It was
awesome.
Lightning in a bottle.
It was. It's very much so. Both albums were. They really were.
Yeah. You know, and if you look at the rest of the list, and that's not to say Millennium didn't have a couple other good tracks, but they just didn't make the list. But if you look at the rest of everything after this album slowly started to taper off.
Right.
Because we were in a different era. You know, this album came out in like 1997.
Yep.
That was the year before DMX rose to prominence.
Yep.
It was the year before Eminem broke out.
Yep.
You know, it was a couple years before 50 Mania and Ja Rule.
Yep.
Jay-Z was still getting his feet wet. He had mild success,
Yes.
but The Life and Times of Sean Carter Volume 2 was 1998. The album that had Hard Knock Life on it.
Yeah.
And that's the album that really launched Jigga to that upper stratosphere.
Yeah. When you think about the shift in
perfect timing.
Yeah. When you think about the shift in society in late 97, early 98, which of course, we talk about on the show all the time, wrestling tends to mirror society. You think about 97 in wrestling, the NWO had its hottest year because they were counterculture, they were rebellious, they were full of P&V. And the WWF had to play catch-up ball. Okay, Stone Cold Steve Austin for 2.
I just had an epiphany.
I saw you have that. Yes.
I just had an epiphany, and for those of you watching, like my dad might do, forgive me for the comparison here. This album for Will Smith was the Beatles coming to America. You think about it, we had just come off of the murder and deaths of Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
And here was Big Will telling us it's okay to have fun again.
Oh.
The Beatles' first album dropped November of 1963.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Just after the assassination of President Kennedy.
That's a good point.
Beatlemania hit the stateside February of 64.
Yes.
Just months after the assassination of President Kennedy.
Good call.
And Beatlemania was all about it's okay, we can have fun again. You think about the early Beatles songs. I Want to Hold Your Hand. She Loves You. All My Lovin'. Very poppy in nature. We obviously would get deeper as they went on in their career, but it was all that bubblegum, poppy, fun type of music.
Right.
That's what this album was for hip hop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was okay to come out and have fun again.
Yep.
Yeah, we lost Biggie Smalls. We lost Tupac Shakur. California love, New York represent. Philadelphia is going to pick up the ball. We're going to party again.
Good
We're
stuff.
We're going to get jiggy with it.
Good. Great epiphany. Good comparison. I dig it. That's a great way to end it right there. That was good stuff.
What did you guys think of essentially my curated list of Will Smith's music career? The DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince top 10 and the solo Will Smith top 10. Let us know. If you're watching the premiere on this no doubt beautiful 4th of July, leave your thoughts and comments all the way over there next to Mr. Meacham. If you're watching on demand, which I'm sure quite a few of you will, considering it is the 4th of July, and if you're not celebrating with your loved ones and your families, then damn it, get out there and do that, because time is precious and we don't know how long we have. But if you're watching on demand, leave your thoughts and comments down there beneath us. If you haven't already checked out today, make sure you go back and take a look at my review for Aladdin, which aired just prior to us going on the air with this.
Yes.
We discussed Will Smith as the genie during this episode. And prior to that, I, of course, discussed Robin Williams and his performance as the almighty genie.
Yes.
Tomorrow, of course, is Talk Wrestling, which you didn't give me a graphic for. But then Wednesday on Renegade Reviews, we will be going to the Pride Lands and discussing The Lion King.
Love it.
After The Lion King, of course, you'll be able to check out The Greg Cherry Show, both on the Jeff Meacham Network and on the Greg Cherry brand. And then on Wednesday also, excuse me.
Yeah, that's right, because Greg Cherry's on Thursday this week.
That's right. Okay, I forgot about that. My bad.
It's all right. It's okay.
Ranking the roster, the NWO.
Oh, man.
If Vincent isn't at the bottom of the barrel, then I'm already questioning your judgment, good sir.
I have 2 words, 3 words for you. David, Flair, Samantha. Anyway.
But Vincent.
Yeah,
All he ever did was stand in shadows, and no, that's not a black joke.
Shit! I'm leaving that in no opinion. I'll leave that in. That's tremendous. Okay. So what's after that, Jay?
So then on Thursday, of course, will be the Greg Cherry show.
Yes, because Greg's going to be actually at the Pirates game on Wednesday because he's a glutton for punishment, clearly.
Okay.
And
then on Friday, we get goofy.
Woohoo!
And we discuss a goofy movie. Of course, if you haven't already, you can go back in the archives on the Casa D18 Studios channel and check out the 30-minute interview video that was posted of Bill Farmer from when I went to go see a goofy movie at Sugarman Gallery. 30 minutes, and I still came into it part the way through.
Right.
God only knows. It probably would have been close to an hour interview if I had caught the whole thing.
Accurate.
On Saturday,
yes,
we have Spiderhead, starring Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller. And if I'm remembering correctly, that is Journey Smollett in the foreground.
Yes.
Little Denise from Full House.
The one that hasn't caused trouble yet. Just saying.
OMG.
I'm just saying.
On Sunday, another brand new episode of The War Zone.
Yes.
And then wrapping things up, come the following Monday, will be another episode of Ask the Dads.
The first of 2 back-to-back.
Yes, this week actually should have been an episode of Ask the Dads, but I had asked Jeff to flip-flop it so that we could do this pre-taped, so that we could have 4th of July free to spend time with our family.
Yes.
And still give you guys, our viewers, the opportunity to ask the dads as normal.
Yes.
So that is what is coming up both on the Jeff Meacham Network, as well as over on the Casa D18 Studios, as well as on some of our affiliate channels.
Spread the love around, kids.
That's right. So, again, thank you for joining us for the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham. I am the Renegade JJ Williams, and we will see you guys next time.